Back at it again. Oh man, back at it again. Back at it again. Back at it again. Right 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 back at it again. I ain't got no friends. Well, right back at it again, y'all. Just made it back from the show. Y'all know what today is, right? It's my birthday. Yeah. What's up? What's up, Chef? It's my birthday. It's my reality. Oh my God. How y'all doing? Push that like button.
This news is fun. All right, guys, happy Tuesday. So I told you that last week I sat down with Lily Phillips. That's the young lady from the United Kingdom who has resolved to sleep with 1,000 men in less than 24 hours to break a record. So we're going to discuss that, and we're going to show you portions of our conversation now that it has premiered. Plus, you're not going to be surprised because I think it's just a game between me and Tucker Carlson. I'm in trouble, then he's in trouble. Well, now it's Tucker Carlson's turn again. And he's in hot water this time, of course, for hosting a guest on his podcast. That guest's name is Jeffrey Sachs, and he's telling the public the truth about Bibi Netanyahu's ambitions in the Middle East. Guys, happy Tuesday. So I told you that last week I sat down with Lily Phillips. That's the young lady from the United Kingdom who has resolved to sleep with 1,000 in less than 24 hours to break a record. So we're going to discuss that. I'm going to show you the portions of our conversation now that it has premiered. Plus, you're not going to be surprised because I think it's just a game between me and Tucker Carlson. I'm in trouble, then he's in trouble. Well, now it's Tucker Carlson's turn again. He's in hot water, this time, of course, for hosting a guest on his podcast. That guest's name is Jeffrey Sachs, and he's telling the public the truth about Bibi Netanyahu's ambitions in the Middle East. And it's not the pre-approved Likud party narrative. The guy, he can say it. Jeffrey Sachs can say it because he's Jewish, so he's not going to win Anti-Semite of the Year. And I am very sad to report that there has been another school shooting, this time in Madison, Wisconsin. And again, it has taken place at a Christian school. And again, oddly, the shooter is a female, just 15 years old. She seems to be a radicalized feminist. What does this mean? We absolutely should discuss this. Welcome back to Candace. Let's just begin with the Guinness Book of World Record in general. I don't know if you know this, there are over 65,000 world records that are captured in the Guinness Book of World Records. In 2023, 4,975 records were approved. And I have to tell you guys, when I was young, I'm sure you remember this too, I was quite mesmerized by it all. So just the concept, when you see this person holds the Guinness Book of World Records. I was like, wow, could you just imagine just being the best at something worldwide? Like no one else is better than you at this thing. I'm going to give you a couple of facts about how it works to give you a little refresher, or maybe you've never even thought about it. Because I think people wonder, well, what do you earn? What do you actually win? How much money do you get if you do break or hold a record worldwide? And the answer to that question is exactly $0. Despite there being over 153 million Guinness Book World Record books that are sold worldwide, the actual record holders don't get a single thing other than the right to say, I am a record holder. I am the best in the world. What is the criteria, you might be wondering? Like, is it sports? What is singing? What is it? Honestly, anything that you can think of. If you can think it up and be the best at it, not even the best, really just the only, then you can be awarded, or at least have the title and tell people that you're that person. Some random records is a guy named Tyler Phillips. He pogo sticked over 5 cars. Now, is he the best at pogo sticking over 5 cars? I'm gonna go with no, probably not. He's just the only one who thought to do it. And contact the Guinness Book of World Record offices about it. I'm sure if LeBron James really put his mind to it, he might be able to crush Tyler Phillips. There's also a man named Zhang Shuang. He is a record holder because he pulled a car 50 meters while walking on his hand. I don't know if that really makes him the best at anything. I think that is one of the only. He just happens to be a person who thought, I'm going to do this random thing and be the only at it. Then there are more passive record holders, people that aren't really athletic at all, like a woman named Lee Redmond. She holds the world record for the longest fingernails. Guess how long? Guess. 28 feet and 4.5 inches. Again, does that make her the best, or does that really just make her peculiar and somewhat gross? I think it's peculiar, and I think it's somewhat gross, because I just would not want to have fingernails that are 28 feet long. So what is it that motivates these people? If you're not motivated by money, then these people are obviously just motivated by the notoriety. And there's no finer modern example of the trappings of notoriety than a young woman named Lily Phillips. I told you a bit about her. She is indeed from England. I also want to remind you that she's just 23 years old, and she is an, you guessed it, Instagram model. Instagram model, this kind of new age of modeling. And she is desiring to break one of these obscure world records, and she's willing to defile herself and willing to go against basic principles of morality, because I'm certain that prior to her engaging in this, no one had really thought up how many men can one sleep with in one day. That's what she's thinking about. She wants to know how many men she can have sex with in one day, and she's going for 1,000. Now you might be going, why 1,000? Surely no one's gotten close to that. Actually, someone has. The existing record was set in Warsaw, Poland, back in 2004. I was kind of hoping it would be a random Polish girl that did this, but it wasn't. Of course, it's an American girl. Of course, it's an American girl. Her name is Lisa Sparks. She is a porn star from Bowling Green, Kentucky, and she managed to sleep with 919 men in a single day. She set the record at the third annual World Gangbang Championship in Warsaw. So like me, I didn't know that there was a World Gangbang Championship in Warsaw, Poland, but there is. And she went out and did that, and she competed against two other women who wanted to achieve this level of notoriety, and she won by 21 men, with each person that she was involved with sexually being allowed 45 seconds with her. And I gotta tell you this, the update on this is that on her website, she confessed, she said this, quote, "To be completely transparent with you all, this event is the one thing I regret doing in the 21 plus years in the porn industry to this day. This was also the only job I agreed to perform strictly for the money." They say hindsight is 20/20, but I'd like to think that maybe as women we could have the foresight to recognize that sleeping with 919 men in one day is going to be something that you deeply regret. And at least that was kind of what I wanted to speak to Lily Phillips about. I'm not really interested, I told you guys yesterday, in this whole like outrage culture and screaming and calling each other names. I do think the right is starting to behave like the left, and there's no learning any of it when we're just being outraged and screaming. Like, obviously what Lily Phillips is doing is wrong. Me screaming about how wrong that is isn't really going to change her desires any, but having a conversation with her, why would I say it's one of this?
That's amazing.
It's important for other young ladies to hear
That
this
is really
world. People are
amazing.
just
A woman that
so
can sleep with
mesmerized by the
1,000 men in
trappings
one
of
day. That's
fame.
amazing
It's
shit.
not, of course, that they're after, it's
I
infamy.
don't give a fuck what nobody
So for
say.
Lily Phillips to
A woman that can sleep with 1,000 men in one day. That's truly amazing. What do y'all think? What up, though? Happy birthday. Oh my God. You don't think that wouldn't be amazing? Hey, how many men do you think a woman can sleep with in one day? In one day. Max.
You mean like
reality.
oh, girl?
Any girl, hooker, prostitute, the best bitch in the world.
Probably like 5.
About 5? You know the Genesis world, the book world record?
No.
916. 916 men in one day. So it's another lady, it's a lady, a little girl, a little OnlyFans. She got one, she finna do 1,000.
Well, those monogamous.
No, it's some kind of damn shit in Poland. It's a gangbang competition.
No, I know.
This ain't monogamous, it's gangbang competition.
Yeah.
You get the gangbang up on them like 3 girls get in line and many men line up and they just see, ooh, that's crazy. They get community pussy.
You gonna have to lie to me and tell me I'm the only one.
She got to lie and tell you the only one.
Yeah.
That's crazy shit. That's a good thing though. I ain't think a woman could sleep with that many men in one day. Damn, I often say that's virtually humanly impossible. But if that one woman slept with 916, then and all of them bust, that's kind of, ooh, she had some good coochie. Her shit was rubber burn when she got through with it. I know she said she regretted it at the end. What y'all think? What's up, Joshua Graham? Oh man, no, I was talking about this story on the news. Really feel fucked up right now. What up, though? I feel so disbogulated. I don't know what I want to do. I know I need to do something though. Gotta keep going. Yeah.
Conversation that I had with Amber Rose. I can't remember if it actually made its way into our interview or if it was off camera where she spoke about this, how she'd be dying on the inside and being asked to do these things, but knowing that this is what was being demanded of her in the sex industry because guys are buying into this fantasy. My job sitting across from Lily Phillips, like I said, wasn't to denigrate her, wasn't to make her feel worse. I'm 35 years old, she is 23 years old. It was truly to try to understand her and to at least get her to admit that she's only doing this because she wants money. And so I asked her really just a basic question. I said, if you're really trying to stress that this is not about money, are you telling me that if Ford Models came to you and offered you $50 million, so you don't know him, here's $50 million, just want you to walk down the Victoria's Secret and wear a bikini, you wouldn't take it because you just love the sex so much? And here's what she had to say. Take a listen.
Can you address though what she said? If someone offered you $50 million to never do this, or to have never done this, would you have taken the 50, or would you still be like, no, it's something I want to do?
I've always said this. I did this as a hobby, but before I did it for work. So I was sleeping around and doing these stuff like that before I actually did OnlyFans. I was a lot more promiscuous off camera before I was on camera. And so no, I do this job because I love it so much. And to me, obviously money in every job is a big thing, but it's not about the money for me. It's about.
You said you did this to give back to your OnlyFans that afforded your lifestyle. You said that, I think.
No, as in they've really helped me. You know.
You said you thought
really,
my assistant.
I never said anything about money. Just
you
about
said
like
my
freedom.
assistant sat in a room and decided that we should do this as a way to give back to the fans that have supported this, this lifestyle that I have.
Me and my assistant were talking, and I was like, I just looked up the world record because I was like, how cool would this be to do? Because obviously it's something that's kind of obviously never been done before. It'd be really unique content. It would also be giving, back to my supporters and stuff like that who have subscribed and, made my life how it is today. I didn't say lifestyle. So it's like this freedom that I have. I love the life that OnlyFans has given me, definitely, and that's not necessarily money.
What freedom has it given to you if it's not money? Out of curiosity.
So to be able to work for myself, to be able to do something I love,
Working for yourself, meaning making, right?
Sorry.
Working for yourself, as in being able to earn an income by yourself.
No, so working for myself to be able to wake up and grab a coffee in the morning and not have to be in a desk at a 9 to 5, to be able to sell and make a living out of it, be able to.
How you doing, sir? How can I help
Be
you?
able to support myself.
Plenty of fake.
I can do it. I can do it. Come on in.
So I'm not just talking about like money. I'm talking about the freedom this lifestyle is giving.
Last Sunday.
Money permits freedom. Money permits freedom.
We're just trying to connect with us.
So money means you have the freedom to do whatever you can in your life, right? That's what money equals, essentially time in this case, right? Because you're saying the freedom to do what you want to do.
Because then I could do my own time and make £20 a month and still have the same lifestyle as I do now, than have to go to the extreme and do the 1,000. Like I could. So it's not really like the money thing for me.
Yeah, because now it's about the fame, the income, I think, for you. So there it is. It's obvious that this is something that is going to bring her great pain, but she's already pivoted and now she's pretending that she just had a weak moment after 100 men. This is really what she's always wanted because...
Question. How many men do you think one woman can sleep with in one day?
I couldn't even fathom. Honestly, I've heard I've heard horrible things. I've heard
just
a
in
woman that ran
realistically.
through like 40 dudes.
Okay, 40. That's that's crazy, right?
That's crazy.
Okay. The Genesis Book World Record is 916 men in one day.
Oh, okay. See, that's
a
but
number.
that's a professional.
No,
this
it's a competition in Poland called Game Bang competition.
Oh my gosh! Okay.
And they do it every year. But it's a girl on OnlyFans,
Yeah.
and she's trying to break the Genesis World Book record, and she's doing 1,000 men at one time.
Yeah, gross.
It's gross, but
gross.
I was like, how humanly impossible is that?
Yeah,
But when you think about it, it's crazy.
yeah, wow.
As you heard her say,
You want
she
your
used to
plumbing
use this for
blown
free.
out,
She used to
whatever.
use this for
Yeah,
free.
she
And what
young.
she
She like
said to that,
23, 24. She
was
young. She's still
sleeping
pretty
with
crazy.
1,000 men per day as a test. Clearly, you could be as promiscuous as you want, but no one has ever done that. And so it has to be about something else. Again, she's back to trying to sell the fantasy to men like she's actually into this. And she's not. And that's why it's important to speak to these people. That I think young women look at this
That's
as
what
an
every guy
example.
wants.
And she's talking about how
But
this is
like,
about
how many men
freedom.
in one day?
Yeah, sure, she's got to sleep with 1,000 strange men, but she can get a coffee in the morning. And she's not thinking about it. She's not stuck in a cubicle from a 9 to 5. So there are some women who are stuck in a cubicle from 9 to 5, and they then get a coffee. She has so much more freedom because she's just going to sleep with 1,000 men, 1,000 strangers in one day, and she doesn't really see that as a form of bondage, or at least the fake Lily, who I was interviewing. The fake Lily doesn't see that. The Lily that was crying obviously very much understood what she was giving up, and it lets you know that buried down deep she does have a soul. But the more compelling piece of this for me really was learning that her mother is involved
this
in
the
her career.
adult
Her
feed
mother
with
manages
Clippers?
the finances.
I was looking at your
And when
prices
Lily
online.
spoke to
Yes, sir.
journalists
What type
about
of-
this,
how low you want to
she
do top?
described her relationship with
bring
her
it down.
mother and her
It's
father
pretty high right
as
now,
being wholesome.
About
These were
2, 3,
good parents
about 3,
because
about
they
2.
were supporting
Okay,
her.
how low you
And
want to
now
massage? You want
it's
to skin fade
shocking.
side?
Take a listen to what she
Got
has
to
to
say
say.
no more. You want to trim your
One
beard?
of the questions that
How much more is that?
$5 more.
I think that you kind of try to portray like you have this like normal upbringing, and I obviously don't buy that because I have children and I have a daughter.
Today's my
and
birthday, man.
Your mother
Just
being
got
involved
back.
in this signals to
Really
me
just
that
got
you had
here.
anything but normal upbringing because
Hollywood
there's
last night at
no
a comedy show.
mother that would
Okay.
seriously want to
How'd
see
that
her
go?
child evaluated like that, because that's what it is, whether
Stand up.
you perceive it or not. Your mother is watching you or helping you or dealing with the finances of you being violated 100 times in one day.
Yeah, that's a thankless
And so
job in ways,
I'm
man.
Very
It's-
disturbed by that more than
seen
anything
so much
else.
about
It's
it,
like
and I
I've
love
heard of OnlyFans
stand-up.
girls and
I've
sat down
watched
with them,
years and
you
years
know,
and years of it.
respectfully on the whatever podcast, and a lot of them have stories, they understand that,
Yeah,
you know,
A&E
mom
used to
and dad
have
and upbringing
comedy
didn't do
shows on
this,
all the time.
you
People
know,
doing
but
stand-up.
it led me to this choice in life,
That was amazing.
but you don't
What's your
seem to
name?
have
Michael,
Michael?
recognized
Game on,
your
please.
mother's abuse in this, which is quite alarming to me. So I'm just curious about your relationship with her.
I mean, my parents definitely don't describe having as, what did you say, sorry, abusive or,
I don't think it's abusive, I think just the mother being violated 100 times by strangers is abusive.
so my parents don't describe sort of being violated, they don't really see it in that way. They know I've always been very liberal, and to be honest, my parents, they don't necessarily, they're not coaching me into it, they're not telling me, please do
what kind of comedy do you do?
You know, they're not really.
Oh, grown folk comedy. I don't go out past 10 o'clock.
At the end of the day,
Yeah.
they love me.
But I'm a little bit of everything. I'm political.
What is it going to do
but-
if they
I do a lot of
disown me, stop
storytelling.
talking to me? That would only
That's good.
cause
It's
more
not my
harm.
fault.
They see it from the standpoint of, you know, my mum does like my
I do a little bit of
finances, she
everything.
wants to
Pretty
help
much,
me.
I'm a
You know,
storyteller.
they just want to do what they can to help. It's not so much like, if they disown me tomorrow, like,
Be myself and say funny
I
shit.
think that would just make
Nice.
everyone more upset.
Are you giving your
No,
mom a
I'm
cut?
not arguing that they should disown you. I mean,
I don't know. That's, to me, that's some of the real stuff to me. Even if it's made up, it's just, if you have the authentic feel, then you got it. You know.
From having
But
100
mine
strangers
comes from a dark place. I come from
you know,
Mississippi. So a lot of my
and that
stories,
is the
you know,
part
it's
that
true.
Yeah.
If it ain't my story, it's somebody else's.
Yeah, I hear you.
And I tell people all the time, man, like,
the idea of
I'm
being
getting
alone
older now,
now,
so
but
I'm
yeah,
down.
she goes down that path that you're not going to be there and pray and hope that, you know, she changes and speak to her about that and say, I'm always going to
just
love
turned
you.
49.
But I view it
Just
as.
turned 49, so-
Yeah, I got a couple on you, man. That's all.
I don't think I would necessarily.
I'm dreading for this year. It's
But
gonna
none
be
of my
rough.
liberal
I'll be 50 this year.
their parents would
I'm a late
view
baby.
this also as demonic, whether they have faith or not. They would just say, what parent would want that for their child? Because your mother is old enough to understand what the implications are for your future, you know? You already comprehend what the futures are, making it, I get that you turn everything into a joke, I think you do that, really to protect yourself as an armor, I don't think you actually think it's funny, but to recognize that like you're, beautiful young girl, you're never gonna have the prospects, you're not gonna have a man that wants to have a family with you because they're gonna see you as damaged goods, your mother partaking in that.
That's not true.
just so you
Kanye
know
West
it's
married
only you.
Kim Kardashian.
And this kind of gets into the broader point, I think,
Never
the
get a husband.
main takeaway what's going on with Lily
Yeah,
Phillips is that
any
all
woman can
across
get
the
a
world
husband.
we are facing, I think, a
There's always
crisis.
some desperate bastard out there.
Especially she like that.
Parents that
Yeah.
want to be friends with their children, parents
When
that
somebody's
have
okay
given
with
into, and I want
you
to be
being
clear,
ran
I
through
don't
1,000
like
times.
Some men don't want you unless you had 1,000.
Oh
Like,
my God, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Okay, she's broke in now.
Yeah,
Really?
go sit down.
That's not broke in, that's broke out.
But this is the slippery slope, right? This is the slippery slope of
It's
the
all
spiritual
bad.
evolution, and
Oh.
it's why I'm very proud of my faith. I think the church got it right. I think things have become increasingly
The
undone.
funny is,
In
this girl's gonna
culture
turn to
of
God
sex
faster
education
than anybody
schools,
else
you have
afterwards,
sex is
though.
healthy, having
Scary
multiple
part. What if
partners
she's
is
gonna
healthy.
be closet?
It is why I
Gotta mess them all up.
Gotta mess them all up.
Well, usually they do some sort of panel screening, whatever, blood-wise.
Yeah,
You know that.
That's for then. You know, you say 6 months later, you had 2 nights before that. Right?
Did you watch any of those shows after Born In?
No.
Okay, so that's on Netflix, I guess?
Yeah.
But anyway, they had dudes on there and chicks on there, and they talked to them about their experience with the biz.
And all of them ended up HIV.
No, not all of them, no, but they all got something at some point.
Yeah.
And one of the dudes got HIV and spread it to a bunch of chicks.
backwards, I'm archaic, I am totally,
That's when reality
totally
get
fine.
real.
Yeah.
Completely regressive.
The game, you're playing that game.
Yeah, look at it there. You know, you gotta.
It cheapens both
But
women.
you know,
and
it's all
children,
that's strictly
and that's what I'm gonna
business.
say
You know,
on
professional
the
company,
topic
you know,
of Miss Lily Phillips.
and they use protection.
Pray
You
for
know,
her, truly.
if they use their protection, then
Will not go
they
through
odds are
this,
better.
but my guess
They make it
is
to the
that
end. You know what I
she's
mean?
people are deeply,
Yeah.
deeply glad surrounding her.
And that's what I don't
Alright, guys,
understand.
that's
Like,
gonna help you keep God at the center of this season and by doing
I don't care how beautiful they are. If we not married, I'm not.
How I will radio is the #1 Christian prayer and meditation app in the world, offering thousands
So
of
the
guided
girl on
prayers
Figure
to
Roll
help you
last night, you
God.
gotta suck my
And
dick
their
with
prayer
Tommy.
challenge is called God So Loved the World, and going to help you experience the transformational power of God's love this Advent
Yo,
season.
that mouth
In
was
the
like it
prayer
did time.
challenge, Madeline Stewart, and Jonathan Rooney from
Took it a lot of time. You out here on the clock.
A remarkable story of a couple's encounter with God. We'll also hear from Pastor Francis Chan and Jeff Davis as they take you through reflections on
How long you been out this way, bro?
Oh, well, my best friend lives in town here. I've known that dude since I was 10 years old.
What
type of work you do?
What's that?
What type of work you do?
Right now, reselling toys.
Spend time on the most important thing this
Reselling
Christmas.
toys?
Yep, buying them and reselling them.
Howler.com/canvas for 3 months.
Specifically Legos right now.
You know, that's a big market for those.
Well, they say it's a more solid investment than gold.
That's crazy, ain't it?
And obviously what gets you into trouble is posting conversations and getting people out of
My
this
son has a lot. He,
propaganda
you know,
web of information that we have in the
and that's
West.
crazy
Yeah,
how
people realize
even
that
those
we
Pokemon
realize
cards
Yeah.
we are told one version
are
of
crazy
events,
valuable right
really
now.
fast. Who have destroyed and most money to our politicians in DC, at least pertaining to America. So you got big funnel propaganda, and you got the war
And my
machine.
son is 10
And
years old.
obviously, I do want to say this, we are now at the tipping point on the
That's all you said. Yeah, get your Legos, Dad. Buy you Legos.
all of these conservative towns.
Well, it's like,
everyone else takes the
one of the things that there's a guy, I saw a clip from him on the internet,
And then they
talking
come
about
around and start being passionate about it.
how
and
he
start
buys
calling things and
sets that are about to be
genocide. Yeah,
discontinued,
just remember that. They always
holds
wait
on to them for a
until
year.
it's faster than
and then
enough, and
sells
then they
them.
pretend that they're great. We saw this with like the
And he says he
COVID
puts in
vaccine
about
out
10
there,
hours work a
day one,
year.
Anti-lockdown.
To live the lifestyle you live.
By the media, attack,
That's just like my little brother.
anti-Ukraine,
He
they want
buying
never
resale
be
Jordans.
fashionable
Yeah.
in the conservative,
He's been doing that all his life.
Yeah.
He buys 6 pairs at a time. He keep one for himself.
tested
Yep.
whether or
And
not
just like you
the
said,
pond
he told
might
her a
break
couple
in the
months,
winter.
he
She got her
posted
prostate
supposed to be
to
selling for $300-$400 a
That's my point.
He lifted and bought
But
2 houses.
anyways, Tucker has been a really
And play the game all day.
conversations.
Buying and
He's
reselling
not
food.
as vocal about his opinion, but
Just Jordan,
he
just
very
do what
clear
Jordan
that
did.
he's
Well, he knows what he's doing, man.
Yeah, you know,
Obviously,
yeah.
it's not just any old Jordan, you know.
what's happening
Yeah,
in
he got some good
and
ones.
he's
Yeah.
recognizing that there are things that are problematic with beating Netanyahu. So particularly has been kind of happened, I have to be honest, when I saw this probably 2 years ago, I thought it might have been a conspiracy theory speaking about the ambitions of greater Israel,
Oh, yeah.
essentially
A lot of Chinese people.
You
gotta have the fix, you know.
Israel has had to expand its borders. Now it's fully well they have to conduct various wars, various genocides, and have the Western media on their side because Israel is not having enough bodies in Israel to support their war ambitions. So they need to severely propagandize, lobby, blackmail politicians in the West and people in the West to go fight their wars. That seems to be cracking. So Tucker had on this guy, Jeffrey David Sachs, to say this guy, I feel like
So you've been back to Mississippi?
Columbia University.
Yeah, I was out there this summer,
Being at
July.
Columbia, he was a
And
professor at Harvard
did you
for
hate
20
it? No.
years.
Oh yeah, pretty much. I stayed out there about 4 days, came back home, man, got homesick, had to get up out of there.
Yeah, I mean, like,
It's not the same.
It's not the same, though, I can imagine,
You
but
get to
you
hear
also
those,
like,
you know, you get to hear those crickets and shit, get the whistling. It's time to go, man.
Similar to
You're like, I need some
Matter
silence in my
back
life.
2020. Anyways, so here is Jeffrey Sachs, and he's
came out
discussing
here,
what's going on in Syria as a
coming out
part
here with me,
of
coming back.
Bibi Netanyahu and the state of Israel's ambitions to just
my
extend their borders and to pretend that they're the victims in all
I have
of
a
this.
daughter out
We
there.
had this plan, and we just got lucky with this October 7th thing, and we're gonna execute it. And he's reminding you guys that as the media tries to pretend that Syria is this corrupt country.
Yeah, I just
and
heard
oh, they really
the humidity out there is terrible.
It is.
Al-Qaeda.
But it's not that bad right now. It's not as cold as it is in other places. But it's coming soon.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, you got there in July, is that you said?
Yeah. And it rained 2 or 3 days, about 2 to 4 days I was out there. That's the only thing about the summer out there. The weather is unpredictable. Every day you're gonna get some type of rain.
Whatever propaganda is said, Syria
They
was
say 10%, 20%, you don't see it.
Yeah.
Out here they say 20%, 30%.
International Monetary
You know,
Fund
you none.
Syria
Yeah.
in 2009 that praised the Syrian government for its reforms and its rapid economic growth and its look forward to continued years of economic development. In other words, it was not this wasteland or this battlefield. It was an actual normal country. Was it a threat to the United States? It was no threat to the United States whatsoever. But it was deemed to be by Netanyahu a threat to Israel because of a simple reason, which is that Netanyahu wants to control all of Palestine, wants to rule over the Palestinian people, does not want a Palestinian state, and that has led to militant opposition. That's led to Hamas, that's led to Hezbollah, that's led to
So home is here in history?
Netanyahu's
Yes, I
theory
live in
is,
this
well, we're never
So
going to
what's the furthest from home that you perform?
so we have to bring down
I just went to Arizona in
that
October.
supports
I never been, I never been like up north, and I really don't like the, how do you say, when it gets cold, I'm not trying to go nowhere crazy.
Yeah, I hear you.
I like to stay in the West, but I go anywhere if they pay, you know, if the play, if it feels right, I'll stay up.
Yeah, over the last 30 years.
But I've been, for the last 5 years, I've been here focusing on the job. I just got back into the realm of things last couple months, and got back on stage, I was on a couple shows. I didn't do too much of that this year. Thought about, you know, right now I'm talking about the business, I don't have no barbers, so.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, it's just crazy as heck, man. There's a lot of barbershops out here. A lot of these barbershops paying them checks, and they got these apprentices, and they're not licensed barbers.
I know the type.
And I need people that I can leave here, somebody I can trust, I can be out of taking, doing other things.
But trusting someone with your biz is huge.
Yeah, but it ain't hard to trust nobody when they're working for themselves. As long as they do what they gotta do. I got a good camera system, computer system, I ain't worried about nothing else. Insurance,
Now there are two motivations.
they still it, they'll make me happy.
And now says not safe to get
But that's not, you know, my biggest problem is just finding people that have the confidence to work, that want to work for themselves and got the skills to know how to make it. Like,
Yeah.
one thing about film is you really got to know how to cut hair when you're in the main field. You can't get in the main street in prime time and talk about you know how to cut hair and you don't know what you're doing.
Joshua was
And for most barbers, you know, this is the problem that most black barbers have. They can't do straight hair, they can't, you know, they don't,
Yeah,
they stay one-track minded, and you can't have a one-way perception and cut hair. You have to have a universal mindset, a universal knowledge, and understanding how to do both hair, you know.
I mean, if you want to be that way, you can be that way. But at the same time, like, you want to make money.
No, when we was in school, we was trying to get
Yeah.
we actually, I did have a prestigious military black instructor, and he used to tell all the black students, you'll never be a successful
some of these
master
people
barber
actually
if you can't do
the
anybody
Bible and say,
Truth.
we're going to do this.
And when I tell people, it's like, if you base your business off one race of
absolutely
people,
terribly frightening.
your business will never be successful.
But
And
I'd say the
when I
more
do this, I
narrow
tell people
vision
all the time,
is what they
90%,
call
80% of
from
my clientele
the
is
river
Hispanic
to the
black.
sea, from the Jordan
My
River
prices
to the
disturb a lot of
Mediterranean.
people.
That's
But
taken
it's the highest
as
quality
a
of service that I give, and the
pro-Palestinian
convenience that I offer,
chant.
that makes me put me on the
It's
ladder to even
exactly
be able
the
to promote
opposite.
those
It is
prices
the
at that
greater
price. But I'm
Israel
also in the middle
literal
of town square.
vision of
This is the most
the
expensive
government
real
of
estate.
Israel.
in
It's
the
the
world.
literal.
Right off the main drag?
Yeah, well,
There
no,
happen to be
really,
7
I think
million
20%
Palestinians there.
of
That's a
You
minor
know what I mean? It's a lot of places
problem.
off the side of the world. They're probably paying $800-900 a month for, you know, for a little bit of business. But location is location is location. You know, especially in business. And if it's convenient, it makes more sense. So everybody that I deal with up here, majority, it's a three-way split when they take a right and go to the street, get off the freeway. It's faster to go to Apple Valley going down Bear Valley than it is to go down the freeway. So most people that live in Apple Valley, Hysteria, or Victorville, the right side of Victorville, left side of Victorville,
Yeah.
will take that turn. And if it's right, on the way home, and they can pull in and pull out, go back right and keep going, it's a convenience. So,
I mean, yeah, you're right off the freeway.
I make so much money off of, how do you say, Google and people searching. As you can see, a lot of my reviews are authentic, and that's what I ask myself the first time. Like, just put something authentic. What you really like about the service? What you like about, you know.
So there you have it. I
You know,
think
and I
people
want that.
are
You know, that's how I win. Without even having to pay for advertising on YouTube.
Word of mouth is everything.
Word of mouth is everything. So when people, you know, real authentic people leaving authentic reviews, and it ain't just, oh man, go to this barbershop, he's good. It's something more than barbering, and it ain't just about cutting hair. You know what I mean? You really have to build a community, how do you say, a customer relationship with the customers, because that's the base of the business. If you don't have customers coming back to you, then anybody can cut somebody for the first time. But when they come back to you, you call them like a piece of fish, you know? And if you feed them knowledge every time you get in their head, you give them some understanding, give them, you know, knowledge and stuff, and have a good conversation, that customer keeps coming back for more, you know? And so I was talking to my grandfather, he was a barber, and he never got a chance to really see me, you know, become a barber. Yeah, he passed away before I got a chance to graduate from art school. But I learned a lot of these, you know, a lot of these trades and skills by him. You know, when the way he used to do his clients, the way he used to do, you know. And when I was young, I made one mistake and got in trouble in school. He came and walked to the school and picked me up. And he said, every day after school, you gotta come to the shop. So I ended up being my grandfather's protege, man, when I was a kid, you know. And I ended up learning a lot of bad things, racing around the barbershop, dealing with the barbers, making store runners. And my grandmother used to always say, I ain't never wanted around this barbershop. Bad habits, okay.
Well, you get in the barber, you get grown folks talk.
Yeah, that's what happened in the barbershop. Well, my grandfather, he was into everything. They used to do these what they call squares in football season, and he'll probably have every game. He might have a $10,000 football game.
in
pay
order
out,
to
like,
have
you know,
engagement with
everybody
that.
is,
That's
I think you
happening
pay
now.
like, I think it was,
And so
it was like,
I'm
I
grateful
think it was
for
like
great
$50
work
a
for
square.
Crossing,
You went
grateful for
$125.
and just grateful that not even declaring on what's happening, we're not waiting before it's too late, and hopefully it's not too late, and we get to make a difference by just having these sorts of conversations. All right, guys, take a moment to remind you about preborn, because every baby's life is a precious gift full of potential and dreams that are waiting to unfold.
So how do you like it up here?
Preborn, the nation's largest
It's a different animal for sure, man. Like, it's way busier than where I'm from. I moved from Sacramento.
Okay. I went to school in Fresno. That's why I went to Water College. North, yeah.
Ways out. But yeah, I moved from Sacramento to
And
Oregon.
How is it up here?
It's beautiful, man. It's slow and it's cool and people are nice and it's a different way of life for sure.
Yeah.
The tax deductible donation of
You don't spend
$15,000
40 minutes in traffic or some shit, you know. It doesn't take you 3 hours to go to LA, you know. It's just like crazy shit. But up there it's beautiful, man.
Yeah, I was coming up this hill a while ago, and the wind was blowing so hard, I was driving my RV. And it felt like, you ever seen those 18-wheelers tilting on the
Yep,
freeway?
I've definitely seen that, yes.
Yeah, I ain't never slowed down to 40 miles per hour. Not for the time of my birthday, man. Nah, man. Freak accident. That was crazy. And I done been in a lot of crazy little, weather storms in that truck. I ain't never felt this shit like that. So we go all the way down.
Backwards. It's stunning to me. Think of a 15-year-old girl with her entire life ahead of her doing what she had done. So first and foremost, let me just tell you what happened, because it took place again at a private Christian school in Wisconsin. 6 people were injured, including a teacher who was killed and a teenage student which was killed. Obviously, as in most of these circumstances, you find the suspect is a coward and they immediately take action to end their own life. That was the case for this young woman whose name is Natalie Now. Again, 15 years old. And
The scenario always changes with these school shootings. Now it's a
at
girl,
the
like
Christian school, the
first
Abundant
time,
Life
like,
Christian school. And
what did they do? Well, what happened for her to go to school and come and shoot it up? Like
one ex-reporter, and
People
thankfully
calling her
for
precious
us,
every day.
thankfully tired of having to wait.
It's hard to say, man.
It's crazy, man.
I don't know, they're making them thinner skin nowadays, man.
By then they've gutted everything that's important. So we have to understand what is happening.
You know as well as I do. You grew up hard and you didn't grow up this time.
For real.
But
they don't want to fight no more. They just
gun legislation.
Well, they want to be sensitive about stuff. They want to be sensitive for other people and whatever, you know. That's, I don't know. There's a lot of comedy in that.
It is, man, but it's crazy because we starting to see more and more of it,
Yeah.
and it is scary, you know.
Yeah.
Especially when you got
Because
children
this
going to
is
school,
a teenage girl who had
Bullying,
an
they say
extensive
bullying is
online
back.
obsession with school
But it's
shooters.
always been there.
and
We
death.
bullies when we was
She
kids.
used a secret
I was one of the smallest bullies in the world. Like,
Well, that was just it. You either figured it out or you didn't.
for real.
The Columbine shooters, if we had
And,
all of these agents,
you
the
know, it's like,
FBI, when they
I don't know.
swooped in on him,
I was always
only they could pay
saying
attention to
shit at
teenagers
school. I was
who are
capping on
But it was
idolizing
always,
teenagers.
structure was good, but it's just like, now, just like you say, man, these kids are so sensitive, they don't,
Yeah.
Anyway, you want to
they
read
allowed to,
this
believe that they can think
and she
any way
looks
that they
just like
want,
she used to be involved
Yeah.
in media, maybe
Crazy,
Rebel
man.
News, Redux. Point is
Well,
that's
that's what, I think that's the reason bully brought so much structure, man. When kids used to think we're them, and it'd be little Billy kids like us that pull up and be like, nah, man, that's why we beat your ass, because you a weirdo, like, you acting weird.
Well, did you ever watch, there's a show, if you haven't watched it, I highly recommend it. It's an Australian show.
Name of it?
Called Mr.
because they were
No, is it on
on
Netflix?
It's on,
wasn't a real
I wanna say it was on
life
Hulu.
relationship. They met
Okay.
online
On
and
Hulu.
very
And
kind
this
of boyfriend
dude,
and girlfriend who was very forthcoming with everything.
he has to go to anger management by police order.
So here are
You know,
some of the facts
he's
that
in
are
the group,
delivered by this reporter.
And,
First and
and the
foremost,
guy heading it up is like, you think you can just bash on people, and he goes,
a name that
well, the
she
thing
was
is,
using, but not
is that
real
they think
names,
they
is
can get
now
away with it.
definitely went by Samantha
They
online.
think they can say and do whatever
She
they
also
want.
went by a
And there's no
different name,
confession.
but the boyfriend said that
And
on
that
her
was it,
school
like,
identification
you get the
card,
wrong
she had
one.
not even named Samantha.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's gonna put
As
you
I
in your
said,
place.
she
But
was a
that's
student.
most of them are
18 years
fatherless,
old.
so
She's
parents,
born
children. That's why they
female,
feel like they have no
somehow
authority.
this is by a transgendered
But
manifesto.
you know, it takes people.
But the
Somebody
manifesto that she
got to
did
punch me in your
create
throat. The real
was entitled War
It
Against
shows you shit.
Humanity, and the
Can be,
manifesto
your
is
ass can
6
be whooped.
pages
Like,
long.
Yeah.
In that
Say do the wrong
manifesto,
thing,
she
and
speaks
say the
about
wrong
having
thing, and
it's her ass,
difficulty,
yeah.
in her relationship with her parents, who
Somebody
she
gotta
referred
punch
to
you in the throat.
as scum. And expressed feeling like she was just the wrong child of her family. She had planned to commit suicide a long time ago, but felt that if she had committed a shooting, it would be better for evolution rather than just one, quote, stupid, boring suicide. She expressed deep admiration for other shooters of the past, and she offered particular praise for, and forgive me for my pronunciation here, Küçük Yiğitim, who was the Turkish neo-Nazi who committed a mass attack earlier this year, and stated that that person was
Now, do you have
her
Amazon
inspiration.
Prime?
She referred to him as the
yes,
ultimate
yes, yes.
saint.
Did you watch
You can
Secret
see
Level?
this
Did you
person
see
was
that show?
chronically
No,
online,
no.
chronically
It's
reading
animated?
manifestos.
I actually,
and in
I
my
ain't had a
viewpoint,
chance to.
looking
I
for
ain't
a way
watched.
to
I
be
ain't watched my
seen,
Prime in a couple
because what
months.
we were able
Ever
to
since
do
the
was
Power
to
season,
confirm that she came
I
had nothing else to watch.
I tell you that. Did you watch Snow on the Bluff?
Yeah, I seen Snow on the
Bluff.
That
I love
she
Snow on the
was
Bluff. That was a good
alleging
damn
this is
series.
something that was true. Here's a direct quote from her manifesto on her parents. She wrote, "I see my parents as failures for everything they've done to me and just kind of effing with my life. There never was helpful advice given to me. It was all BS.
I tried to get into
The world
Atlanta. I
itself
probably
is
watched
BS, to be fair.
I couldn't do it.
Two, and I was like, I
I'm
So
Shy has been my last little episode. I got into Shy, and that's really good. You gotta start it all the way from the beginning.
He loves his ex.
It don't get good till the kids get grown, but
That doesn't matter. It
it's
doesn't
real
matter
good.
anymore
Now it's
because
like,
nobody heard me out
I'm waiting on the
and
new
just
season
made
to come
fun
out.
of me my entire
big.
life, and I'm sick of it. So you get
Well, I
the
asked
point
about,
here. Obviously, she came
Amazon
from a
Prime, 'cause,
very rough upbringing, and
if you like
it
animation
is
and stuff, they got a
implied
new
that
one
her
on there.
father's
I watch some anime,
But it's based on video game stuff.
Yeah, so I'm not into it. I'll be lost.
Yeah, so we're going tonight. We're going down to LA to watch something.
To the anime?
To a exclusive.
Okay.
So like, my buddy got the hookup with that, and
The crazy part, my son is into it, but I
Court
don't
records
know.
I have seen show she is telling the truth about the repeat
It's not your
divorces
thing,
in
it's not
her
your thing.
family
Yeah.
and ongoing legal battles between her mother and father. So this is a circumstance, again, where society is trying to diagnose the gun, society wants to more government involvement. And I look at this problem and I think how we got to this place in society is because of government involvement, right? We had households that were together, we had people that were aspirational, going back to Lily Phillips, we had people that were growing up believing they should for one person, get married, have a family, focus on their family. And everything became radicalized with the modern feminist movement. You suddenly had people wanting to pursue independence. Suddenly the idea of having a family that's super together didn't seem attainable. Women started drinking more. The alcoholism rates amongst women, something that I'm working through right now in a book that I'm publishing in January, realizing how much more women binge drink, not having stable parents at home, making divorce.
A lot of
something
women
that's
binge
just
drink
an
more than
easy
men.
option.
Like,
You can get
serious.
divorced whenever you want.
I got a
We
girlfriend.
have
That one goes
removed the
through
secret from the home in so many
like
ways.
3
And so
or
when I
4
look at
bottles
this
of wine a
circumstance
night.
and this girl
I met a girl
who
a couple
basically
weeks ago
took out
online
her
on Facebook.
internal
Went over
pain,
to her house.
feeling
She had
that
a
she didn't
whole
belong,
bar
that
in
nobody
front
loved
of
her,
her,
that
in the
her
corner
father
section of her
hated
house.
her, that her
She
mother
had
was
shot
in
glasses
many ways
super glued
emotionally
to the
abusive, I
wall.
guess you could
I'm
say.
talking about like in
And
a
her
garage.
resolve was that, the world is supposed
Every
to be
bottle
broken.
you could possibly
The
imagine
world is too broken.
in the
So now
shelf.
when I do
On the
in this
shelf,
world, it would be an act
She
of
asked me to
service
come
for
over,
all
bring a
the
drink.
people on the way.
Don't
It would
come
be
over
an act of
empty
service.
handed.
You would kill people
I
so
came
that
up with a
they
little
don't
bottle
have
of
to live in this world.
Tootsie.
Tremendously sad. Obviously, this girl became a
What'd she say to
monster,
that?
something
She
monstrous,
said, thanks for the
and
shot. I was like,
Thank
God,
you.
I ain't coming back here no more.
it's so
Yeah.
sad that people lost their
I ain't
lives
coming. I ain't
because of
coming.
an absence of
That was the
parenting
first
and
time.
a refusal
The
from
second time was really
society to
took the
have
cake,
an
bro.
actual conversation
I got in the room
of
and
how we haven't
threw across
increased
the bed.
violence in America.
When
but
she was out there,
America,
she had
it's our
245.
family,
She had fucking
and that we
about
never see the
that.
circumstance
You
of
like,
kids
gotta move your
like
guns
we're
out
seeing
your
today
goddamn.
that are
Something like to
looking
go
for
off,
this
maybe.
sort of attention.
Well, that's a dangerous combination. I can't deal with a woman that drinks, ain't got guns. Oh, hell no. I ain't going back.
Yeah,
I was on my best behavior right now.
Yeah.
And it's not gonna stop. It's genuinely not gonna stop.
Oh, she
until
scared
we
the
start
shit out of me.
addressing
Why you
the
ain't
real
coming back?
topics
Oh,
and stop
I'll be back.
blaming inanimate objects. That's my personal opinion on that. So we will stay up to date on this, guys. Please pray for the victims' families. Also pray for the people that are.
That's kind of girl you give her ammo for Christmas and shit.
For real.
That's
all she needs.
Yeah.
And again, goodness, and
That's
you
all
know,
she
these
needs.
constantly online kids posting this stuff, and parents are not aware of it. It's just completely unacceptable. It is completely and utterly unacceptable. Do you know back taxes? Pandemic relief is now over, along with the hiring of thousands of new agents and field officers. The IRS has kicked off 2024 by sending over 5 million pay-up letters to those who have unfiled tax returns or balances owed. Do not waive your right to speak with them on your own. They are not your friends, obviously. Tax Network USA, a trusted tax relief firm, has saved over $1 billion in back taxes for their clients and can help you secure the best deal possible. Whether you owe $10,000 or $10 million, they can definitely help you, whether it's business or personal. Even if you have the means to pay or on a fixed income.
Oh, I said snow on the bluff. I meant snowfall.
Yeah, Snowball? Oh, that was a good series.
That's one of them.
And really, I think they really had intentions to go further with it.
Well, they didn't. I mean, they didn't do all the things because, like, it's the history, man. It's the history of all that.
You know, the real thing, the guy that started it, John Singleton, the first producer, he ended up passing away during the COVID. And the whole scenario of the movie started to change. Like the whole,
I watched it. I saw it.
it was starting to go sci-fi. It really went sci-fi into Hollywood shit. But I think it was more to distract or distort that the CIA or the government had real involvement in it. But in the beginning, it touched on, man. It really, the first three, four seasons, it really was in a whole other direction. And it really woke a lot of people up. And if they was from that era, or if they was on cocaine, or the parents was on cocaine, you actually seen it all over again. Like they got it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like I said, the whole little scenario of the story started to change. And it never went back to, where it could make sense at the end. You know what I mean?
This year, if it wasn't for you guys recognizing that all I was trying to do was tell the truth, and the Christians are going to
It never seemed to make sense no more. They took the attention off the situation that they was doing on the streets and started coming up with crazy scenarios of what they was doing, how they was living, how they was jealous of each other and all that type of stuff.
And the only way to conquer
And it really
that,
wasn't like
which we're
that.
going to work on, is to
When you
really
making money, ain't
introduce
nobody got time to think
the
about
history of the
those
schools of the Bible, and getting Christians to
Well,
recognize
that's
that
just
this was
adding,
Zionist
it's adding a lot of drama. That's all
Yeah.
it is.
Israel
I
existed
mean,
in
I get it. It's
1948.
a dangerous
The
life.
Zionist Congress got together and decided that they were going to brainwash Christians in the West to accomplish their
But they're
goals.
just they're taking everything, They're like,
Of the story of the Bible, which you believe is going to be the West.
I mean, we used to hear about that all the time in the news. Where people shooting each other up in the streets, during the 90s,
It's so delightful.
80s.
It shouldn't require theological
They didn't know what it was about.
That's something.
And it was deep because in that era, it was more than just one. It was more than one Franklin Saint. You know what I mean? In every city, every state, he had another Franklin Saint. You know. And it's just funny. It was, and I think, and I know for a fact that it was more than just one set. You know. That was a whole
There
little.
was a lot of people handling.
Yeah, it was a lot of people hand involved.
Next up,
And that Teddy position was a fun position to play in. But it was pretty much, they was wild and free.
That's simple, well said. Joe Carroll writes, it's time for America to do
Well, it's
its
like
own
a
thing
huge
for its
predecessor.
citizens and
Yeah.
nation.
Right? The one
No
with
taxpayer
fucking
dollars
snow.
to run their own country for the next
He
2
was-
decades.
And you remember how it first
Swimming
came
and
on?
women.
Yeah.
He was swimming in women and
For real. And Teddy wasn't no different.
well, he was a little more different, but that guy was.
The funniest shit was his brother.
Yeah.
When he really picked up his brother. I don't know how his brother got caught up like that. But they made that motherfucker snort coke all night long. That was fucked up. That was fucked up. They did his brother wrong.
This sort of like Zionist pledge, people wearing Israeli pins on stage as they're asking you for your vote to be the president of the United States, it's not gonna fly. And so some major headways,
But when you think about it,
excited about
who
it.
gonna just fuck with a kid?
Lots more
You know what I
rights as
mean?
well.
Yeah.
If you're not on
They know what
police
they was
defense,
doing. They know
then
how that
you
shit
set
played
the
out.
crime.
It was
Okay,
more
I
players
agree.
in the
I have
game,
to say,
and you know,
I'm
just like you
sorry.
said, it was built like a chessboard to them.
He gave me a dirty look.
As long as it didn't come back to, you know, to directly blame the U.S. government, then it didn't even matter to them. And they had too many players in it for it to come back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Basic morality to know that I should be tried. And some people don't have that. People don't.
I learned a lot about that back in the days, man. And it was more police and more, you know, more FBI. It was more a lot of other things involved into it.
And a lot of Americans are maxing out their credit cards. That was the perfect time.
And they, you know, they got lost in cover. They really, like you say, once they got on the drugs, they went crazy. And they felt like they was above the law too.
Save on average $800 a month. Just imagine what that can mean for your family. Plus, you act now, even to like 2 mortgage payments.
Wasn't that a Tupac movie, In Too Deep?
Wouldn't it be nice to start off with a year
Yeah.
about that debt?
Yeah. They get in too deep, and that's
Costs
that.
absolutely nothing to find out how
You
much
have themselves in a whole new world of trouble.
This is why you be here before
But they
you know
can't
it.
see
So
it.
call one of American Finance's salary-based mortgage consultants today. You call now.
Then I started watching BMF. You see that?
Which one?
BMF?
No. Block Mafia Family. No,
You gotta watch this.
no, that see that's on par with Snowfall.
Oh yeah. No, I mean it's a different story from a different atmosphere, but it's true. Real true, you know. And they was renegades out of Detroit, and they ended up, you know, it's crazy because Big League just got released, and you know they can't be all true, but if it was that true,
She's being bullied all the
you know,
time.
it's the reason why they released
Asking
it.
her race questions. I didn't think she really wanted that far.
Did you,
Exactly taking a knee and trying to
ever catch that,
and saying I hate being white.
documentary or something they did on these Cuban dudes? They were in like Miami, and they were part of the cartel, and they were racing cigarette boats. They were on TV.
Racing cigarette boats?
Yeah, the big ass speedboats in
Yeah.
the ocean and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were racing those. And finally, the government caught on to them and prosecuted them.
Thank you so much.
And one of the dudes is just getting out this year. And that was back in the 80s that they got busted.
She just doesn't.
I'm like, I wonder what that dude's gonna do when he gets out. You know what I'm saying? Like, he'll probably get right back into it.
No, things have changed, man.
Yeah, well, that's a different, yeah, I'm sure there's different ways to go
And
about
in
it.
the same way, like even when those big players were playing, a lot of people were thinking that, you know, it was a lot of people, you know, a lot of how you say government involved to make sure it gets through. You know, they needed that circulation to get through. You know,
Yeah.
It's easy to say the sort of stuff.
They were
on the
probably,
internet.
these guys were probably
When even me,
fed to them by some CI or something.
For real. And that was the biggest thing. They had so many CIs out there, you know, and they weren't nothing but junkies, you know.
Yeah, they want the next fix. That's
Yeah.
How do you don't complete you WNBA? And she said a thing. That's it. I just still do not think this is that big of a deal for a 22-year-old kid because we were all idiots when we're 22 years old. Like I said, I was on the left. I believed all the things about feminism, and I would just be like totally miffed if a bunch of conservatives who have had time to deal with all of their thoughts and didn't come out of school and learn these things were just randomly attacking me for me just trying to be what I think is a good person. I think her heart was in the right place, even though she said something that I disagree with. And if your heart's in the right place and you're just wrong, maybe just tell somebody they're wrong without screaming at them and telling them that they're gonna have no more fans and their life is over. I don't know, am I crazy? Am I crazy? Am I too sensible? Who knows? Anyways, you guys, we will see you tomorrow. All rise, court is now in session. Man, I have been waiting to say that. The plaintiff is Candace Owens, the defendant is Kamala Harris. The case before the judge is that she says she's black and I say she is not. And so it is an honor for me to host Judge Joe Brown, who has been making the rounds because he vaguely remembers a conversation, not vaguely, he very much remembers a conversation that he had with her daddy. And the things that Kamala is saying today don't really match what Kamala's father, Donald Harris, told Judge Joe Brown. Welcome to Candace.
Well, the judge is in the house, dear. So here I am. Anyway, I came right down the road from Memphis, not too far.
So you have been all over the news. Actually, right now, you probably are not on Twitter, but there's a clip of you that's gone absolutely viral.
Well, I am on Twitter, X.
Oh yeah, you're on X. Okay, good.
Yeah, and you can get me at Judge Joe Brown TV.
Okay, so did you know that you were going viral this morning?
No, I didn't, but it wouldn't be the first time. And then they tried to knock that down. Wally Brown and I did a thing 2 or 3 years back, and we got up to 9.8 million views, which is definitely viral. But then we started knowing that the views started dropping, and then you look at it now, it's like 800,000. And Musk get on X.
Yeah, well, the numbers that you're pulling right now, I would say, are equivalent to
You watch
Trump
the
and
hell out
Musk,
of him.
particularly.
Back when he was on TV.
So I'm going to tell you what I saw, and I've actually played clips of you on my show as well. The thing that I love about judges is you guys you tend to have a really good memory and a great record with the truth. And I can say, after speaking with you leading up to this, you don't forget a thing. You do not.
Sometimes you want to forget some things. You say, oh, no, did I do that back when? But then sometimes you don't.
Yeah, and you clearly remember a lot, and you were running the exact same circles as Kamala Harris. You're out in California. So can you explain to us how you met her father, just how that came about?
What was going on is this is a convoluted story. Magic Johnson's mother, a fine
Magic
woman,
Johnson's mom.
and
A fine
one of
woman.
her buddies, who
I used to
was
date
the
her back in the
older
day.
sister of a personal friend of mine, would always involve me in this project.
Magic Johnson, mama.
I'm trying to think of
So
what was
they
that.
got me down there, and
Oh,
I was
it's
supposed to participate
I think it was like,
in
I'm gonna
the
get you sucked
program
or something where you
in
said like,
So
yeah, I remember your mom. We used to call it Coke bottle. And something like that. She used to be able to do this thing, and it was like, please, dude, please.
For like 90 years old, nigga.
Because there's some
It started with
complications.
Magic Johnson, mama.
And my ex and I, we were attendees at this dinner, so we got introduced to everybody's favorite Hindu professor. And you were sitting next to my ex-wife, or wife at the time, for a while, so we all had this back and forth questioning thing at the table. So it was quite interesting, and I recall running to him back in the 60s. He and his wife were grad students up in the Bay Area, and I was an undergrad at UCLA, so there was a back and forth between Los Angeles, man, where you go crazy and then go to the asylum up in the Bay Area. So it was interesting what was going on back then.
So how was his demeanor when you guys are at this dinner and you're in Jamaica? What do you think about him?
He's reserved,
Reserved. Okay.
dignified, laid back.
But still involved in my understanding is that he's been involved in politics actually for a long time. He's had an interest in politics his entire life.
Yeah, right. I'd call him a Marxist.
A Marxist, and that is exactly what I've heard from a family member of his, that he, from the time he was very young, was always involved in Marxist meetings and Marxist groups, kind of a dyed-in-the-wool commie. I don't think that's something that he's ashamed of, by the way. I think he wrote about in the Jamaican Global Online how he was sort of raised up on the politics via who he reports to be his grandmother, Christiana Brown. But it's interesting that you said you were introduced to a Hindu professor. What made you think that he was Hindu?
That's the introduction.
That was the introduction, okay. And your wife?
What is she?
No, did she get to talk to him about that?
She talked to him, and it was interesting because at that time there was no reason to put him with anybody special until you started putting all of it together. He was a Marxist, and when he was up in the Bay Area, a lot of things were going on up there. That was the Liberty Park up there where in 1964, a lot of what was going on that led to the rousing unrest of the 60s and the public demonstrations was happening. My in-laws were from up there, and I didn't know them then because I think my ex-wife was born the same year that Kamala was born, so
Damn, that's how the ex-wife
before all
is?
of that. But this was the locus of a lot of things going on. The Black Panther Party was up there, developed, so it was pretty radical in Berkeley, Oakland, Richmond, and this
You
is
the one
where
broke the
the
news
action
with Willie
was.
Brown. Yeah, Willie Brown
UCLA
was my best friend.
in Los Angeles.
He used to have Camel in the office all the time up under his desk. I didn't even know he had in there one time. We was in there talking on. So we was in a meeting for 20 minutes and she came sliding from up under the desk.
There was a Marxist thing up there. Also, this was during the rise of Jim Jones, which is another thing. You know Jim Jones, the Kool-Aid and the picnic.
You want another shot, Judge? Yeah, let me get another shot.
Mama's sponsor, Willie Brown, Maxine Waters, and some other people. Nancy Pelosi were staunch supporters of Jim Jones. If you look into that, you'll find some very interesting things like, hey, this was your mentor, and he was a supporter of this. So it was a center for a lot of radicalism at the time.
So it's so funny how life happened. This year, I don't even know what the reason was. Actually, a friend of mine sent me a book, and the book was called Chaos, and she said, you'll love this for your birthday. Right? And I opened the book and I couldn't put it down. It was the subtitle of the book is something along the lines of Charles Manson, MK Ultra in the 1960s. Okay, and essentially it's this reporter who was just supposed to write a magazine article on like the 30th anniversary of the Manson murders, and he had no horse in the race. Starts calling around, making some calls. He's very well known, and everyone was scared to talk to him. Long story short, he ends up finding that the CIA was intimately involved, and now this is public knowledge. You can look this up on Wikipedia. That Charles Manson was a Fed. The CIA was involved, was there the night of the Manson murders. It takes him 30 years. He ends up getting fired from the magazine. He ends up writing this book. Went completely broke because he had to do so many FYA requests because he was going, what is happening? What really actually happened on this night? And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because elements of this book, as he goes through understanding that the feds were involved in a lot of this radicalism that people thought was organic, whether you're talking about the hippies movement, LSD, things that were happening that to the public seemed to be sort of these natural movements, actually entailed operations from the Fed, COINTELPRO, MK Ultra.
How you doing?
We're talking about the Black Panthers. Some students broke into the FBI office at that time and were able to get documents which showed that the feds were tracking a bunch of people. Obviously, you know, that was Martin Luther King. This journalist, who's from San Francisco and attended Berkeley, recently wrote a piece saying that he knew that Kamala's mother was involved with the feds and the program MK Ultra. And when I read this, it seemed so far out. And then, as I was learning from Donald's family that he was a dyed-in-the-wool communist, and I'm learning that he was extremely secretive, and I'm kind of thinking, why was Kamala's mom, who was like a top-rated scientist?
They didn't seem to be able to stand each other after a while. There seems to have been some great animosity between mom and dad, and when they broke up, you might be hitting on the source of the problem. That was very widespread. People don't understand what that was like back in the 60s to be active. We would have meetings, gatherings, and 3 weeks later, the FBI is hauling you in and quoting to you what you said, and you say, yeah, freedom of speech, First Amendment, you got that? No, I'm not going to tell you this because you'll get me for making a knowingly false statement. Screw you. I'll take the fifth on that. Or get me back, and we'd always manage to get you so they could take your phone book and get the numbers out of it. So you took to no longer carrying your black book with you because no telling when the FBI is going to pick you up. And by the way, I was the last judge on that James Earl Ray case, and I know what the FBI did. That quick summation to set the background. Ray had absolutely nothing to do with King dying. The FBI ordered that hit. They recruited a 2-man sniper team, not one, from Quantico Marine Sniper School, which was right across the tarmac from the FBI school. They supplied the weapon, which is an XM21, which is a modified M14. I do have in various places around the country the serial numbers for the 5 of them they got on an invoice late December 1967, and 5,000 rounds of the ammunition that are identical in aspects to what they pulled out of King's body. The next thing is the Justice Department ordered them to return the 5 rifles. April 68, that's the month King was assassinated, and they claimed they lost one. That's the murder weapon. And they have the serial numbers for the 4 they did return, so they only made 63 of them at the time. So the FBI suspect, this COINTELPRO developed later, but they had the SIS unit. And if anybody wants to read about that, get the Glass House tapes written by Louis Tackwood. Tackwood scared the hell out of me and a lot of other people. We knew him as supposedly somebody who had been a medic in the NOM, and he came back and he was treating people who got injured in the 60s. It was chaotic in those days. And I remember I was in law school and I went to watch this murder trial downtown LA, and they brought it in. I said, that's Tackwood. Not only was he not a snitch, they introduced him as Lieutenant Louis Tackwood, Vice Commander of the SIS unit for LAPD. I was like, oh man, this took everything, but he didn't tell everybody. But this was real. And I know 15, 16 people that I was acquainted with that got shot to death who were active in these movement situations.
This has been a strange election. The Dems have made it apparent that they are zealous for the blood of babies. Kamala Harris is the first vice presidential candidate to ever visit an abortion facility. As First Things reported, Tim Walz supports the right to infanticide. Do you hear me? Infanticide is the taking of a baby's life after birth. It is, like I said, insane. The media has dubbed this the abortion election. We must take a stand against this evil. When you join forces with Preborn, the largest pro-life organization in the nation, you are protecting the greatest victims in our society, babies in their mother's womb. Preborn's network of clinics are positioned in the highest abortion areas in the nation, and they have rescued over 300,000 babies. When a woman considering abortion searches to end her baby's life, Preborn is there. Preborn gives these women in need a free ultrasound. The power of hearing the baby's heartbeat on an ultrasound combined with God's love doubles a baby's chance at life. One ultrasound costs just $28, and up to 5 ultrasounds are $140, and they can save lives. Any gift will help their cause, and all gifts are tax deductible. Or you can go to preborn.com/Candace, preborn.com/Candace. Why did the so obviously, by the way, you said something very big in terms of a lot of people who are young and are not well read up on history, real history. What they learn in the classroom is essentially a fairy tale. I've known that the FBI killed MLK. Most people understand the FBI killed MLK. But why? They were tapping him, they were threatening him, they were, everything was crazy. And we could talk about JFK too, but what was their reason for being so obsessed with the Black Panthers, they murdered many of the Panthers as well, they murdered Martin Luther King Jr., and it's also very scary that they can do these things and then put out textbooks that say, oh no, this random guy did it, so what was their reason? What was their What was their obsession with wanting to infiltrate these movements?
They were concerned about what was going on in the Nam. There's a big hookup with everybody that we've been talking about, also Obama's people, Barry Soetoro's people, and the Nam. The idea, for instance, the memorandum we got a hold of with the King assassination thing, they were not worried about him starting civil rights back up. That anti-war movement and revitalize labor. Those were the two things they were concerned about. I recruited John Huggins, Bunchy Carter, Geronimo Pratt, Elaine Brown, Nat Clark, and a few other people who were in the Panthers to UCLA back in the 60s. And it was the same thing with them. What were they going to do about getting people wrapped up in this militancy of saying we're not going to be down on our knees while somebody beats us across the head anymore. Somebody else feels we're going to do something about it. And I've seen the stories that came out of the assassination of John and Bunchy at UCLA. Hell, I was there. They ran right past me when not John, but his assassins were running right past me. They shot John in the back twice, and he died of that, but not before he set up and fired 6 shots at him. The guy that shot him and 3 others running down the hallway. Elaine Brown and I were getting ready to go up some stairs when this went on.
Sound like you one of the gunners.
It's interesting.
Sound like you right there.
Were investigating the homicide. They wound up calling some of us and say, could you meet us in the ball place in Denny's? Well, we're not at the police precinct because it's not safe. Somebody on our side is not working on our side, they're working with something else. And we have cause to be fearful of our lives, meaning they, the detectives. So we would have these meetings in some weird places and we discuss stuff and they'd say, we trying to make a bust, but only people that know are in our department. And when we get there, somebody's already told and
Yeah, so that was a huge piece of that chaos book, was that it made me understand that the feds have people at the LAPD office that do the cleanups, that are watching everybody, see what they're investigating, and also at the medical examiner's office, the coroner's office, like making sure that the reports say what they want them to say, so that they can present their case. I mean, he showed from top to bottom, but judges, lawyers, the LAPD. I would never live in LA after reading this book, because you realize it's just an entire operation. They can make you disappear, they'll kill you, and you'll be none the better. And that almost directly ties in with what we're learning about the Diddy case, which is like, okay, that he knew who to call at the LAPD to come over and to make something disappear if things got out of hand, or if somebody was shot or somebody got hurt. And so this has been going on, and I think this discussion is really important since the 60s. I've been really working hard for people to wake up about who your government is. But I'm fascinated that you say that you think it was about the war, because that really was my takeaway from that book, Chaos, was they needed the hippie generation to end, and having this big, fake, staged Hollywood murder that the CIA was actually involved in, Charles Manson was a Fed, was a way to traumatize with propaganda, was to traumatize the public, the hippie communes, everyone's love, rock and roll, let's not go to war. And he basically said overnight, because of these horrific murders, people started locking their doors, they were afraid of hippies, and the music died that day. Nobody wanted anything with like peace, love, rock and roll, and LSD, because they were just all told and following this case. So we're talking about a psychological operation that was enacted on the public to create a mass psychosis, and you're virtually saying the exact same thing. What was their worry? Well, people didn't want to go to war, and they had war on the mind, and they wanted to get to war, and they couldn't have anybody who was militantly against it or peacefully against it like the hippies were.
There's another cook-up too. We were talking about that rainbow thing. It's interesting how they got started. in the late mid-60s, they're going around all over the country talking about this, and it was a coalition of those who hated that they weren't men. Those were the feminists. The ones that hated men, some of the lesbians, the ones that hated that they weren't normal men, the ones that weren't strong men, the soy boys, so to speak. And then the big chunk was this other, words that is bad. You know, it's all about love, man. You got to have love power, man. Flower power.
He sounds just like Charlie Charlie. You gotta have love, man.
So you got
Flower
this
power.
thing there that has an overwhelming ballast. And that is the impetus for what led us to where we are now. And this was an important thing. It was an anti-man thing to develop because it is perception that men are responsible for war. Forget about the fact that we've got a large component of the military now and some striving to be in combat arms that are female. But it was perceived to be a man thing, so no war toys, no cap guns, no water pistols. Boys and girls had unisex child clothing, child rear, to cry, to shout, to let it all hang out instead of being so uptight and under self-control. And the worst thing you want is the apex predator on the planet Earth to be out of control, which is exactly what they were setting up when this thing came together. And it juxtaposed itself in a situation where Hollywood movie studios were going bankrupt in the face of color television. A color TV up until the mid-60s, screen was just like this table. It was round and no bigger than that, and then they got square when the technology improved, so people were staying at home watching their color TVs. You pay 56 to get in a movie, and you got 2 movies, and they changed every Thursday and Sunday, no matter how well they did. You got 3 cartoons and a couple of sub-features, walk in anytime you wanted, stay as long as you wanted. So then somebody came up with the bright idea, let's time, keep it playing as long as people will come. Let's go get the black markets, the minority markets. They want to see themselves. That's a massive amount of money out there. Let's start using the opportunity to spread dysfunction through glorification of it. We don't want Sidney Poitier playing a part where he's trying to be this and that. Let's get Fred the Hammer Williams to play a drug dealer like Black Caesar, so you glorify being a pimp, a hoe, and we'll come back to that in a bit. A gangster, a drug dealer, a murderer, a thief, and you got Foxy Brown with Pam Grier, and there was this whole thing where they'd have the obligatory naked nude scenes in the whole thing, and the plot would be somebody got killed by somebody, drug dealers, and then so they wanted the revenge, and then they wanted to become drug dealers.
Sorry, you made me look too
You got
good.
Superfly and all of that nonsense, and you got glorification of dysfunction. And the theory that I heard was that young black men are supposed to be the epitome of masculinity, so let's effeminize them, and then you can effeminize the whole public, because the young white guys will try to copy the young black guys. And if you effeminize the young black guys, you get everybody in this mess. And then that led to what they did with the rap genre, which has been stagnant for 45 years. I mean, it's gotten more profane and changed.
But also it's extremely homosexual.
Yes, it is. And the other thing is it's not very masculine, because some of the malinformed feminists say it's sexual fantasy. That's not what you're looking at. You're looking at the half-naked bimbos bouncing on stage behind the the rap artist and the gangster hip hop rap video, that's not his girlfriend, that's his mama, grandmama, and their friend girls and their favorite aunts.
Yeah, you do.
I got 50 on me in cash.
Okay.
You take card?
No, don't worry. I'll come back and see me again.
You know I will.
Who's gonna take care of
Hey,
me?
God bless you. You good? You
God
good?
bless
I got women I live on. Oh,
Take care. Have a great
You too, brother. God bless you.
Thank
Thank you. God bless you. See you next time.
Which is leading us to where we are.
What's up,
right
Papi?
now, where there's no
Okay, how you doing?
Man, bless. Give me, stay down for a second. Give me 2 minutes. I gotta finish cleaning up. I'm smoking a cigarette real quick.
Okay.
I got you.
Self-corrected and self-focused. You're not interested in making where you live a better, safer, more secure place. Purpose, morality, and ethics, and you're not dedicating yourself to being a man or a woman of public peace, dignity, and order. You just let it all go to hell. And you try to destroy all human character building things because anything counts. Because if you have character, and let's say you're a man, that means if you happen to be on the Titanic and it goes down, you say, now you and your child may have my seat on the lifeboat, I'll drown in the freezing waters. What happens is you say, I've got on a dress too, so get out of the way, that's my seat. Oh, no, take him and throw him over there and show him the sharks with him.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely see that they've kind of just continued, or they moved it on. I mean, it's a Fed operation, and then they realized the power of media, the power of Hollywood, the power of propaganda through the TV screen. And it's interesting to see that despite overwhelming evidence that that's what's happening in terms of the music, and I know I'm on the right track. As soon as you say, like, gangster rap is a Fed operation, as soon as you start talking about the Fed's involvement in Hollywood, the media goes crazy. The media has always been an extension of the Feds. They literally paid them. Operation Mockingbird, after they shot JFK, they had them on payroll to, control the masses and what they think, and yet you have people who are still so controlled. And I can't think of a better example of that than looking at the fawning over Barack Obama and the fawning over Kamala Harris and their belief that magically if a journalist writes that they're black and she creates this trove of fake photos of aunts and uncles and a photoshopped photo of her and her grandma Beryl, that's not her grandma.
She came back from the grave.
Yeah, exactly. Then suddenly people just believe it. They just go, oh, well, if the media is telling me that this obviously Hindu woman is black, then I better just accept that she's going to be the first black president. And it's just incredible that people can't stop and process that the media is not telling you the truth.
That's 50 years of glorification of dysfunction. Don't think, just accept. And it's a propaganda thing that they've been laying out there for a long time. And back in the 60s, if you were at the Wright College campus, you could hear them planning it. Like join both political parties to create chaos so that
coffee cup somewhere.
you can operate behind. Okay, propaganda is the public.
You ready, OG?
Grandparents. So it's getting interesting, especially when you consider what the world was, which I think is something that people don't do. Like people always want to apply the logic to today, and they don't realize how things were.
How's it been
back
going?
in the
Man,
60s,
another
back
day,
in the
another
40s,
shower,
how
man.
easy it was to fake documents, how easy it
Another year,
was
one
to
year.
move into different countries.
Yeah.
And I had Kamala's family
Yeah.
relative tell me that you could literally just walk into the office in Jamaica and say, like, make a birth certificate. It was just very easy
And very,
to get things done in that way.
very. And see, the other thing
Another
too is,
week and a half, 2 weeks?
you, with your situation, you are well aware of the Commonwealth, right? Okay.
You go out to
You're
Vegas
involved.
and anything?
All
I
right,
gotta go
now,
get my son.
that was Hong Kong, Singapore, that was Nigeria, that was Kenya, South Africa, that was Pakistan, that was India, that was Jamaica, that was the Bahamas, that was Barbados, that was New Zealand, that was Australia. So if you, I used to get to Jamaica an awful lot, so you hear somebody,
Well, they get out next week,
anything gonna be all right, man, I ain't mind. Speaking patois, and you turn around and there's somebody
He don't go back to the
you
first,
start
he
like,
go right
oh
back on the
wow,
first,
well
so.
see, it's
On the first and the
British
second.
Commonwealth
He like
before that, the
second,
British
first, second,
Empire,
third,
so
right
everybody
after.
travels freely around there. Now, I have a
They don't give him no time to get back.
friend that's married to a Jamaican. She was born in Jamaica, so were her parents, but she's English aristocracy, and I won't mention the name, but they're related to the English royals. She's blonde-haired, blue-eyed, and she was born in Jamaica because her aristocratic parents just happened to be over there, and they were born when their aristocratic English
It ain't a smart
nobility parents were born in the place.
It really ain't. You,
So it's an interesting thing.
you locking
when
yourself
see
in
that
one
in
demographic
St.
area.
Elizabeth Parish, where all of
California,
the
you got
black and white
200 different
Jamaicans
avenues
are.
you can roam in and do
It's an
something with.
interesting little hookup.
The opportunities
So
are a lot better in
international thing, but
Anywhere
there
else, in any
is
other, in any
a
other state.
family situation that gets in here.
It's like we got
And Kamala's
37
folk were
cities
trying
combined
to
in
get
one.
in on it through
Yeah,
the mother.
big,
because
When you go into another state, you going into
now,
one
the
city.
dad said
You know what I mean?
his
So
background
it's like,
is Irish,
it really ain't,
and also
I can't be confined
from
into a small
India,
spot like that. I like freedom. I
the
like my
Hindu
range.
thing,
That's why I love
and
about
he
California.
became a Marxist because
You
that
got
was
free
what
range
was
to roam.
going on back when he was coming of
Can't
age
figure it out here, you can go
in
somewhere
the
else.
early
Yeah.
1960s.
Yeah, I'm about ready to
Now,
get out of
when you
California.
get this
I've been
in
so
place,
long.
you run into the fact that there are family
I've been here
situations.
since,
Now, when I was in Hollywood,
1959.
I made a whole lot of money.
yeah.
I had places all over the country, and I had 2 places in Aspen, Colorado. So my ex was a social climber, and she was a ski instructor up in Aspen of all things. So everybody wanted to go skiing with Mrs. Brown in the backcountry. So we wound up meeting billionaires and really multi-millionaires. And it's interesting because there are these family connections that are not obvious, except when you walk around asking.
If your grandma was from Mississippi,
Everybody
Yeah.
starts at 6'1" for the females, and it's
A lot of
up to
people
these
don't know
guys
that
all
back in
look
the
like
days,
adults
Hollywood,
that
Santa
be
Clarita, all out
great
there, that's where all the black
athletes,
people used to be.
yeah.
and breathing, smart, good-looking and athletic.
When we first
Village
came,
Beach.
They all have these
when we first
interesting
came out here,
relationships with each other that aren't obvious and that they don't make
Bill-
public. You had,
we
starting with the
stayed
Adams family, you
with
had
the
President Adams and his son,
LA.
President Adams, you had the Roosevelts, Teddy Roosevelt, Theodore,
and then we moved to
Franklin
Santa
Delano
Monica.
Roosevelt,
We lived
you
in
had
Santa
the
Monica.
Santa Monica.
Kennedys,
Yeah.
and,
Stayed
and
in
then they
Santa
had
Monica
muscle,
for
because
about
Joe
3
Kennedy
or 4
Sr. was a
years.
gangster. He was a bootlegger, and he used
That's
to
how they established Hollywood. There's a bunch of gang members there. Established Hollywood, bootleggers, went in there.
Yeah, I'll tell you some stuff off the record about
But
that.
when we was in Santa
So-
Monica, it was
It's like you get this whole thing,
back then it was a
and then
wild.
you get the Bushes
most
in
of
here,
what
and then you have the Clintons who are newbies into this whole
we was the only
thing.
black.
And now you have some other stuff that's going on, these peripheral
Well, it's funny you say
things.
that the Clintons are
You ever
newbies
heard
though,
of
because
Pacific Ocean Park?
even like Bill Clinton has like a weird
Yeah.
story. Like his dad was told in
Yeah.
parks
We
and
used to
when he
live
was
in a
like,
hotel right
it's like
across
they're
from
just,
there
they
on
have,
the beach.
once you start looking into their genealogy,
See,
they all
there
kind
they
of
would
have
do-
like these weird
see,
tragic
wow.
stories and then they're just kind of become the president. And I'm like,
Park
okay, well,
Santa
you know, I think about a lot of people who have like, don't have a dad. They don't really go on to like go to Harvard and Yale and become president. So it's like, it just makes you wonder, like, what is
Yeah,
actually happening here?
and then you find something else. Look at Barack
I know
Obama.
it's
What
not
kind
there
of
where the
connection
period
does
Santa
Barack
Monica.
Obama
Yeah.
and Barry Soetoro have with
I
the
met a lot
United
of people
States?
like
He's
him,
got a
like,
long
used to
history
live out there.
through his mother's
Village
side of the
Beach, Santa
family. They were
Monica,
slave owners.
Canova
And
Park.
two of his ancestors were Confederate officers during the Civil War. One even rode with Cantrell, the counts of
And
indictments
me and my wife and I, we went to Vegas, and they
5,200.
called us,
Well, Soros, as I
and
mentioned,
this
raised
about
a lot of money
2 or 3
from
months
all of them.
after, well,
Quite a few
about
million
5 or 6
dollars
months
for her
after
to
that,
run
you know.
for the
And
office of Attorney General of the state of California.
Smoking,
When
and
she got
that
elected, she used her
COPD,
authority
Yeah.
to consolidate
she
all
ended
of
up in the
these
hospital
indictment counts
where
and dismissed
she
them.
couldn't breathe.
3 weeks
Yeah.
later, George
That's why I don't
Soros
smoke
sells
no more.
One West Bank
But
for
she had that surgery, though.
$3.42
They
billion.
cut her open.
No, they ain't cut her.
And
cut
then
They
they
ain't
raised
cut
a
her.
lot of money to get
No
her
cut.
elected as
Yeah,
U.S.
no
Senator
cut.
without Republican opposition.
Yeah.
Now, can you
So-
imagine California with no
But then-
Republican
She
candidate
still probably
running
would've
against
been
the
here if-
Democratic
if-
Party candidate?
Yeah.
See, that's
She lived
how
long
she
enough.
gets
90 is
Yeah,
to
90, that was
point.
good.
that's a race. You know what I mean?
All right.
Oh, yeah.
May God bless you, Papa.
All right.
Yeah.
Next time,
Merry Christmas.
if I don't see you, folks, I know I see you by New Year's.
Yeah,
Or right after.
It'll be right after.
I got you.
If you were
Yeah.
part white, you were part
Merry
black,
Christmas,
what are
man.
you as far as
All right,
Americans
buddy.
concerned?
Don't get that head done now.
Part Asian and
Don't go
part
laugh, go
black,
laugh.
American
When you get
Asian
off, I
and
stop
black.
laughing. I look like
So how does she get to be
I told you, but I take it off.
recognized